Hello, everybody. Welcome to CIO Leadership Live. I'm Kirat Attar, content strategist at Foundry, and I will be your host for this episode. Our guest today is Mitali Biswas, CIO of CK Birla Hospitals. Mitali, welcome to this edition of CIO Leadership Live Women in Technology, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kirat.
Mitali, let's just begin with you telling us a little bit about CK Birla Hospitals and your role and responsibility as CIO of the organization.
Right. So we are part of the larger CK Birla group, and this falls under the healthcare segment. We are part of the Trust Hospitals, which has three large hospitals, couple of them in Kolkata and one in Jaipur. It's a very old legacy. Our oldest hospital, being 54 years old in Calcutta, one of the first private hospitals in Calcutta. It's a super specialty hospital, multiple specialty hospital. The second one is super specialty, just focused only on cardiology. That's also about 34 years old. And the one in Jaipur, the Rukmini Birla Hospital, that's fairly new. That's also about more than 7 years old now. Again, this multi-specialty hospital, right? So in terms of our vision, we focus on three major things. One is patient experience, which is very important to us. Then clinical excellence, because that's what we are all about, providing the best clinical care to the patients. And third, being efficient at what we do, which is the efficiency part of it. And my role as a CIO is to solve the business problems with the help of technology. So enable the business and all these, in terms of either patient experience or providing clinical care or efficiency, how technology can come in and help the business do more or do better. So I take care of the entire technology for all the three hospitals. I'm responsible for the entire technology operations, for the digital roadmap, for the strategy, for the digital transformation. So I wear a lot of hats. I wear the hat of a CIO, a CISO, a CTO, a CTO, all into one. And it's very exciting because uh, the moment we are in healthcare, this intersection of business and technology, I mean, it's going to have been a better time to be in the healthcare.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction, Mitali. You clearly do wear a lot of hats, and I hope in the course of this interview we'll be able to touch upon a little bit of everything of what you do. Firstly, as we've entered the new year, we're probably 2 months into 2024. Uh, what are some of the tech trends that you anticipate will be huge this year? And more importantly, will have a huge impact on the way business carries on in CK Birla hospitals.
So, the trend from 2023, it's going to continue with a lot of focus on AI, right? So, AI will be taking center stage again. Uh, Till now, I think most of it has been an experimenting thing with AI. There's a concern on the ethical part of it, the security part of it. But I think as we move on, all this is going to, now converge, and we'll see more and more use cases coming from AI. Gen AI, I think, will see a lot of experimentation this year. Not still in the mainstream use cases, at least from a healthcare point of view. But we will see a lot of experiments being done with Gen AI in terms of POCs, what all it can do. We also have, plans to try out a couple of use cases because in terms of technology, it's very new, not yet proven as such in terms of healthcare use cases.
That's true.
But there will be a lot of buzz around it in 2024, right? A lot of experimentation, POCs. I think every CIO is going to do that, and I want to try my hands on as well, and then we will see whether we can use it as part of the business enabler or not. Security is again going to keep us on our toes. I think every CIO or CDO will have this challenge with the security solutions also on the rise, the hacking also on the rise. Specifically, the healthcare sector is going to be, in limelight. So our investment, our focus on the security solution will continue. And then I think the cloud probably as a foundation will continue because that's a foundation part. A lot of things are built on top of that. Specifically for healthcare industry, IoT, which is your medical devices. That
Yes.
again will take on more and more popularity. I think the technology is proven, but the application and usage of it, wide usage of it in healthcare, we are still to see it. I think that will also gain some traction.
Yes, there is a lot of talk around, the embedded chip, et cetera, technologies. But yeah, I don't know about its usage with applications with patients as such yet. So I guess that's something that's coming.
Correct.
So, you touched upon some of the emerging technologies, and artificial intelligence is certainly a big one. I think everyone has an opinion on it and has been incorporating it in some way. When emerging technologies like AI or like cloud computing or Internet of Things in healthcare, they are taking over the more critical facets of your business. Given their complexity, how do you change the way you're hiring maybe talent in the technology domain of healthcare, or training the existing talent that you have? What are the skills that you think are important for them now?
Okay. See, when I look at hiring or building up my team, I just don't look at the technical skills. There are two things I look for it, right? One is the technical part of it. The
Yeah,
second part is behavioral skills, which is more important to me.
true.
Right. Okay. So all these skills that we discussed, they're very new. You will not get a person, very experienced, technologically very experienced. And even if I get it, he will not be joining a hospital, right? He would probably want to joining a big uh, tech company.
Tech firm,
Right.
yes.
So I don't even target to get those kind of people in me. Another
Mhm.
challenge that we have in healthcare, I cannot have a big technology skill with one person being an expert of AI, another person being an expert of IoT, another being an expert in cloud. So, the expectation is one person has to wear, multiple hats, has to
Multiple
have,
ads.
understanding of multiple skills. And that's where I, focus on the behavioral skills because the attitude is very important. You have to have an attitude of learning whatever is given your way. You cannot say that, I am an AI expert, I will not, learn cloud, I will not, learn IoT or whatever it is. So
That's
I
very
think
true.
that's more important for me that when I hire a person, when I talk to a person, I emphasize on, whether he has attitude to learn, whether he is open to, any technology or not, although he might be an expert in one of the technologies. So I think that's more important. And if that's there, I think even if my technical question is a bit low, I'm confident I can grow him up to the level I want. Right.
Okay.
So for me, that behavioral aspect is more important, and more focus is on the training. And then I make sure I give him all the exposure, all the trainings that he needs to do, so I make sure that that's provided to him. But the attitude, the attitude to learn and
Learn.
try out things, I think that's more important for me, I would say.
Yeah. So essentially, to you, a growth mindset or a learning mindset is way
Yes.
more important than a fixed mindset.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, because that is certainly something that I was not expecting when, people often chase after technical expertise. But you're right, a learning mindset is something that can't really be traded away.
Because these are all very new technologies. You will not
That's
get,
true.
you will not get. And even if I get, I will not be able to retain that person. So rather, I invest in somebody who is willing to learn and that
Done.
he can
Yeah,
in a short period of time.
that's very true. As a woman in the technology domain and in a leadership position too, you have a wealth of experience behind you. You have many years of being in the business. So from your own experience, what are the skills that you believe a woman leader should have or should hone in order to be indispensable to her industry?
See, in order to be indispensable, and when it comes to skill, I don't think there's much difference between the skills that a man should own or a woman should own. I think industry
That's true.
expects the similar skills, but I think
Yeah.
the problem with us as women is we don't invest in ourselves. There's so much to take care of. We have office, we have a considerable responsibility at home, kids or
Yeah.
parents. So somewhere, the I in that gets lost, right? Investing in my own self in terms of learning in terms of networking, I think that's where we fall short of, and that's not my choice. I think
Yeah, that's not by
one,
choice,
it's not my choice. It's one, we don't give it enough priority because we have a lot of other priorities which take
which take
over,
precedence.
right?
Yeah.
And time management definitely becomes a problem for us. uh, but if you compare it to our male counterparts, I think they do these things much better If there is a dinner, probably, 8 out of 10 times I would say, no, I will have to go home and, teach my kid. The studies are more important for me than going to that dinner. But that's
Yeah.
not, so I think that's where we fall short of. But we need to take out some time in terms of learning. I think that's something which none of us can stop, especially in the technology sector. It's, becoming so fast that we have to have some time to invest in ourselves and learn the trends, what is coming in, what is applicable to my industry, in terms of industry also, just not the tech part. So that's another thing. We as women, if we have to grow, we have to understand the business also, not just focus on technology. Because when you are going out and having a conversation in the boardroom, and if you speak a tech language, nobody's going to understand or take you seriously.
That's true.
So you have to understand the business also. What does the financial numbers say? How do you interpret them? How can technology, help it translate to better numbers? I think that's where probably we don't put too much of focus or invest in ourselves. So I think learning part of it, just not technology, even the business part of it. I think
Yeah.
we have to find out time. And I think if we give it a priority as we do to the other things, we can probably do that also.
That's very true and very well pointed out that a woman does have maybe more responsibilities going on, and maybe work may sometimes take a lower priority, which is again not by personal choosing, but just something that is expected of us essentially as societally, or somewhere around that. But something like what you just mentioned has shown its ramifications, or it has shown a consequence in the numbers, because there was a statistic that actually shows us that there's only 32% of leadership positions that are held by women globally, and the rest are men. So as a leader yourself, what is one way in which more women can rise to leadership and decision making roles in an organization, and what can companies do to support that and create an environment for that to take place?
See, as a woman, I think what I say, and my mantra has been that, you have to start getting comfortable on being uncomfortable. Like coming out of your comfort zone, because as you grow up, you will be, landing up in a lot of uncomfortable situations, be it in terms of a new technology, a challenging project, which you have never done, or a role you have never done. So those are all uncomfortable situations. You have to start getting comfortable to to face those uncomfortable situations. And there's no alternative to hard work. That I believe by heart, in my entire career. That is something I believe to the core, that there is just not any alternative to hard work. But we as women also need to accept the challenges and just get comfortable in being uncomfortable positions. Come out of our comfort zone and do it. In terms of the organization support, I think a lot of organizations are already doing it, especially the corporate culture, a lot of MNCs, we talk about this flexibility, or, which is very, very important. Plus diversity. There are a lot of initiatives that go on, special mentoring, special focus. And I think as women also, probably as more and more women grow up, I think that also becomes a lot of motivation for a lot of other women. When you see number besides you, I think that probably helps with the motivation. But I think that the couple of things I mentioned, one is hard work, I think, which is applicable to all. And I think second, specifically, we'll have to get comfortable in being uncomfortable. Because growth and comfort, they will never exist together. You cannot say I will grow also and I will be in my comfortable zone. That's never going to happen. So
yes,
that's what I believe.
That's very true. I was going to ask you a little bit more about your leadership principles, but I feel like that sums up your leadership principles very well, that you're just comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right. So I'm going to trade that up for a different question. And I'd like to ask you that going forward in the future, in your own domain, or maybe just in businesses and industries around the world, what is your hope or expectation to see women leaders achieve more of or do more of as the years go by?
So I think I would again like to see more and more women coming in STEM, at all levels. Just not at the leadership level, because unless we increase the infuse at the lower level also, the entire pyramid is not going to get well. So definitely more and more women, not just only technology, in all fields, I think.
Yeah.
So that, and I think the society is also changing. Earlier, a lot of there are a lot of myths. Probably at least in the cities, I do see the change. Having said that, I've also come across cases where there are families who are still very, very, very traditional in their thoughts.
Close-minded, yeah.
Right. So I think that is something I would like to see the change to see that freedom, it should be the woman to make the choice, whether I want to stay at home or whether I do work, when I want to take a break, when I don't want to take a break, what I want to work.
Yeah.
I think that freedom, I think as more and more women are able to take it, I have been, fortunate enough that I've always got that freedom. I would want
Wonderful.
more and more women to get it. So they really can do what they love doing.
Yeah.
So I think
Also,
as long as
yeah.
you do what you love, I think it's true for every individual. You will be the best. You will be able to give your best.
That's very true. Being able to choose what you want to do for yourself or be able to take a break to care for the family, and also being able to come back when they take a break is also,
Correct.
support
And
them.
organizations need to support it, right? If
True.
I'm taking a 2 years break, and when I come back, it's not that I don't, you don't get a good role. So
Yeah,
that,
that's
I think,
true.
support has to be there from the organization also. They have also should change their thinking and support the women in making their own choices and decisions so that they can balance both properly. Like,
That's very true, Mitali, and very well put. Uh, that brings me to the end of this episode of CIO Leadership Live. I'd like to thank you for being so candid in your thoughts and for covering everything that you know in your domain and your experience. It's been very insightful to know about the technology that's coming into the business, and that the CK Birla Hospitals is also utilizing on various fronts, and also your thoughts about how women can do better in leadership positions, and about your own experience as well. Thank you so much for that.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching. That brings me to the end of this episode of CIO Leadership Live, Women in Technology. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.